Greetings and salutations. My name is Marcos, and today I wanted to share my thoughts on what might be shown at the Nintendo Direct that is happening tomorrow morning. So, if you're into video games and Nintendo stuff, consider engaging with the content, whether that be subscribing, leaving a like, comment, sharing the video with friends and family. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Alright, since we're doing predictions, I found it fitting that I wore this Pikmin hat in celebration of the times. We don't really get these too often, maybe once or twice a year, so I'm pumped to say the least. And this direct in particular is going to be roughly 60 minutes of information regarding Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch games that Nintendo gave us the little footnote version of what we could see or expect with the next direct. It's going to come out tomorrow, roughly 6 a.m. PT, 9 a.m. Eastern. Unfortunately, I'm going to be at work, but that will not stop me from enjoying the Direct's announcements. But we do have some games that haven't had release dates. We do have some third-party games that still need some type of support. High cake. So first and foremost, I wanted to just jump in with a game that has been in development for a long time now, and we need answers on when it is coming out. It has been promised that the 2025 release date is happening, but Metroid Prime 4 Beyond does not have a release date yet. Not a solidified one. It has the 2025 year on it, and it's September. We have 3 months left. I know they have Kirby Air Riders in, I think, this 20th of November. Nintendo's plan on releasing games with the Switch 2's launch window has been about a game a month. So we've started off with Mario Kart World in June. That was at the launch. And then we had Donkey Kong Bonanza a month later, around mid-July. I think it was the 17th. And then we had Dragon Drive for August. That was basically showcasing the weird control options that the Switch 2 mouse controls had capabilities of. That game came and went clearly. And we've also had the GameCube Nintendo Switch Online introduction with the Switch 2. And we started off with 3 games. We got F-Zero, GX, the GameCube. Obviously, it's the GameCube. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and Soul Calibur 2. And then in July, we got Mario Strikers. In August, we have Chibi Robo. And so it's September. I do think that the Mario's 40th anniversary is the day after the Switch Direct, this Saturday. And I believe that has a lot to do with this upcoming Direct. I think that there is a ton of Mario stuff that is going to be announced within this Direct. And starting with just speculating here, I have no knowledge of the industry. I'm just a nerd like y'all. I'm just, I consume video game media entertainment a lot, so I'm kind of well versed in the industry. However, I'm not an insider whatsoever, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But I do have ideas, and my first idea is that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond will definitely get a release date. Now, whether that be this year or not is to be seen, obviously. I don't think that it will come out this year. I say that because there already is, like we said, with the release cadence of it all, each month gets a game. And September we don't really have much, but October we do have Pokemon Legends ZA, and November we do have Kirby Air Riders. Potentially Metroid Prime could be in between those games. Maybe it could be in December. I don't think it will be in September. My belief is that it will be somewhere between December and February, maybe in that little mix of months. I know the 2025 release window year has been like a big selling point on Metroid Prime 4, and like, hey, it's for the Switch. It was promised for the Switch originally, so people have been waiting for this game for a long time. And it's been rebooted, it's been in development hell for a while, and so people want this game, right? And a release date would be nice. I think that's going to happen within this Nintendo Direct. Get that out of the way. I also think that Hyrule Warriors, The Age of Imprisonment, that game will get a firm release date as well. This Nintendo Direct. I'm pretty sure last Direct with the partner showcase, it was mentioned that it was coming in the winter or some seasonal release date, but they said to stay tuned for more on that, and I think this is more of that. Okay, so Metroid Prime 4 and Hyrule Warriors will have release dates in this Nintendo Direct. I also wanted to talk about Mario Kart World. Oh yeah, so Mario Kart World DLC could potentially be a thing at this Nintendo Direct. I think it's a bit early for like booster course packs and like new cups and stuff. And I think that whole Mario Kart World like game mechanic of how each cup is ingratiated in one another within these tracks and laps, and I think that kind of kills any type of new cup integration. However, there are some character costumes that could be implemented within the game, like Donkey Kong and Pauline. They only have one costume, and they're kind of lame. I like Pauline's costume, but Donkey Kong's is like the all-terrain one, and it's kind of boring. And Donkey Kong Bonanza just came out, so that would be cool if Donkey Kong and Pauline got some new costumes in the game. Just give us something, Nintendo. A little Mario Kart World, throw us a bone. The game has been on thin ice lately, it was great when it first initially came out. It's stunning, it's very slick, it's a new Mario Kart. But once you keep playing, you see the cracks within the whole cake, and it's a crumbly cake. There's a lot of like question marks within, but no pun intended. There's a lot of question marks that people have regarding the whole free roam mode, and Knockout Tour's awesome. Let's get that out of the way. But the method of having to sacrifice a lap within each track for this like just mainline highway system of transitioning between one lap to another, it's contentious and people have thoughts, but maybe give options on whether they could just have the 3-lap traditional races. I don't know. Nintendo is very stubborn with that type of stuff, so I doubt it. But another game that they teased that just came out of nowhere was Splatoon Raiders, and this was a YouTube video, a Nintendo Today post that just randomly happened, I think in June, and I hopefully we see more of that in this Nintendo Direct. I know it's a spin-off game that could potentially be like a solo outing. That would be pretty cool in my book. I'm not really a competitive multiplayer type of guy, so I love the Splatoon vibe though. The soundtrack's awesome. I think the gameplay is inventive, and I think Nintendo created a crazy cool IP with Splatoon. I fell in love with the Wii U original, but that game didn't really get its hooks into me because of the Wii U, and so I didn't really get into 2 or 3. I'm just not really good at keeping up with multiplayer games like that. But Splatoon Raiders, maybe this is like a horde mode style spin-off game. I'm down for whatever they got in store for me, so hopefully that will be announced or shown off in this Nintendo Direct. Some more updates. They did have a Nintendo Direct a week before the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April, and though that Direct shown off 2 games that were scheduled to release in 2026, and those 2 games were Rhythm Heaven and Tomodachi Life. I'm forgetting the subtitles for each of these games. However, it would be cool if they also got, firm release dates for next year. Specifically, Rhythm Heaven is something that I'm excited for. I have the original copy in my Nintendo DS carrying case. I love that game, and it would be cool if the new game got shown off more and got a firm release date for next year. Maybe a Nintendo Switch 2 edition in the works. Nintendo, did they give out dev kits? I'm not sure. That is also a point of contention. However, speaking of Nintendo Switch 2 editions, there could possibly be Pikmin 4 Nintendo Switch 2 edition. I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that it sticks. I think that the mouse controls, specifically with the Joy-Con 2's implementation, would be awesome for the Pikmin franchise, specifically because of how, you have to retreat your Pikmin, and just aiming and firing them would be very hands-on, tactile. It would make a lot of sense for the Switch 2, so hopefully that's in the works, a Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition. I've also been hearing rumors about the Nintendo Switch sports game having a Nintendo Switch 2 edition, and that title alone, Nintendo Switch Sports, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, just it hurts my mind, but it also makes a ton of sense for Nintendo to do because of how wacky and zany they are, and they would constantly refer to it as Nintendo Switch Sports, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, and I'm all there for it. So maybe tomorrow we will see Nintendo Switch Sports, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Other than that, though, I'm not really sure about the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of games. We already have Mario Party Jamboree with its Jamboree TV edition with the camera, and there was some motion control, mouse control mini games that looked okay. I didn't get it personally. I don't have the Switch 2 camera. I know that they're trying to sell that on a lot of consumers out there, but I'm just not interested in that type of gameplay. So they have that, and they also have the Kirby plus Star Cross Worlds Nintendo Switch 2 edition, which interests me way more because of just new DLC from a game that came out in 2022, which raises some eyebrows for me in particular. So the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of games from prior years could be all the way from 2022, considering what we just got with Kirby. People are also bringing up the Yoshi's Woolly World from the Wii U, and I know it got a 3DS port, but I think there was like this icon shown off in one of the directs previously that showed off a blurred out vision of image of Woolly World on the Switch hardware. I never got a chance to play it on the Wii U, but that game does look adorable and gorgeous, and I love Kirby's Epic Yarn in particular on the Wii, and that game gives me Kirby's Epic Yarn vibes. So if that game wanted to come out on the Switch 2 with the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, that would be sick. Not even the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. That isn't a requirement for me either, though. Just port it to Switch, and I would be happy. Let's go back to the Mario's 40th anniversary, though. There's a Mario movie that came out in 2023, I think. And Illumination and Nintendo made lots of money. And so a sequel is definitely in production. We already know that this is a thing. And so I think that it's time, because it is the 40th anniversary of Mario, and the first movie sold a lot, made a boatload of money, and it also introduced not the concept of Mario, but it gave a lot of people content to consume regarding Mario that's easier than picking up a controller and playing. You just press play and just, oh, Mario. So Mario, the movie is gonna be shown off in this direct, I believe. And I've also been looking up a little bit of, not leaks or nothing like that, but just rumors and speculation within this next direct that is happening tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to be at work, God damn it. But supposedly that this movie is called the Super Mario Galaxy. Something with Galaxy in the name, and so I have thoughts. So once that got brought to my attention, I immediately asked, "Oh, y'all talking about Galaxy? Where's Galaxy 2? We need Mario Galaxy 2. Please, Nintendo, bring that game to either Switch 2, wherever. Please do that. Do that tomorrow. Shadow drop it on us. Get us hyped for Mario. I know the 40th anniversary is anniversary. Did I say that weird? It's the day after the Switch Direct. Maybe they'll drop it on Saturday. That's a weird day to drop video games on, though. But regardless, there is 3D All-Stars that Nintendo released and then took away for some reason. I have no idea why or what they were thinking with that, but it was a collection of the 3D Mario games, including Super Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy. That's it. They did not include Mario Galaxy 2. Some people might say that's the superior Galaxy game. I might be in that, little group of people that say that. However, Mario Galaxy 2 is stuck on the Wii, and Nintendo needs to fix that. And this direct might be the time where we see Galaxy 2 going back to the Mario 2 movie rumors, with Mario Galaxy being in the title and that being important to the movie's plot. Maybe they're emphasizing Galaxy 3's development. Maybe that could be a tease. I know that Donkey Kong Bonanza came out in July, and that was made by the Mario Odyssey team. So a 3D Mario is long. A 3D Mario could be a ways out, basically, is what I'm saying, because they've been working on Bonanza for all this time. However, they could tease a little, Metroid Prime 4 teaser with like the logo in Mario Galaxy 3. And then also, we're bringing 2 to Switch and Switch 2 today or tomorrow. Oh my God, that would hit. But there's also been rumors about a new Super Mario Bros. Collection of the 2D games, starting with the DS game, the Wii, new Super Mario Bros. I think there's another 3DS game. I have no idea the subtitles. I'm not really a huge fan of the 2D games after World. I think there's the DS game, the Wii game, the 3DS game, maybe the Wii U game. I know that got a re-release on Switch already, so maybe we're looking at maybe Mario 2D All-Stars, maybe Mario new 2D All-Star. I don't know. That's just a rumor. I could be wrong. I'm not really pumped about it, but that could be a thing. We were talking about the Nintendo Switch Online and how the Switch 2 introduced the GameCube to its Nintendo Classics systems, and they've been having a release order of one game a month, starting off with the 3 that I told you, and then Strikers on July, and Chibi Robo in August, and now it is September. And I think the Mario's 40th anniversary is going to have something to do with the Nintendo Switch Online GameCube game that is being introduced, and I think that is Sunshine. Super Mario Sunshine will be the game that is introduced in the Nintendo Classics GameCube app. That's not like a fact. I'm just being confident in my prediction. But yeah, Mario Sunshine will be the game for September. And if not Mario Sunshine, maybe Luigi's Mansion. I know in the initial Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, they showed a plethora of games, like a slideshow of games that they promised to add to the GameCube Nintendo Switch Online app. And those were games like Mario Sunshine, Strikers, which was added already, Chibi Robo, which was added already. They had the Fire Emblem game that was on GameCube. That's extremely rare. I've never played that. Path of Radiance, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I would be down if that was the game. Obviously, I don't think September is the right time to release that. They also showed my favorite game of all time, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, and its predecessor that started that type of Pokemon game on GameCube, Pokemon Coliseum, which I would love to get. Don't get me wrong. Some Mario Sunshine is not what I want for the Nintendo Switch Online app to get. Well, you already have it in 3D All-Stars. I did have it on the GameCube. I don't know where it went. I think it got lost in a move or something. I'm still sick about that. But yeah, I do have XD Gale of Darkness on the GameCube. I don't have Coliseum, and I've never played it. I've seen a ton of videos regarding it. But yeah, that would be dope if we got one of those games. Also, Mario Superstars Baseball would be a crazy game for us to get. They already shown that they're gonna give us, like sports titles with Strikers. So Mario Superstar Baseball is one that holds a special place in my heart. They didn't show that within the slideshow of the original Nintendo Switch Online GameCube games that they were showing off. So I don't think we're gonna get that yet. Hopefully someday. But yeah, I think Sunshine is a safe bet for September. What's some other stuff for the 40th anniversary? Maybe some new Mario Sports titles. I brought up Superstar Baseball in the past. We had the Battle League for the Switch of Mario Strikers Battle League. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on names right now. That was kind of a disappointment. I mean, not kind of. It was really a disappointment. I didn't like how that game controlled or looked at all. They showed off Tennis Aces, which was pretty cool. I like Tennis Aces. They had Golf Rush. But we don't have a baseball game within the Switch and Switch 2 family of systems. Neither we don't have a basketball game either. We really haven't had one ever, like a legit Mario basketball game, other than the Hoops 3-on-3 game on the DS, which I firmly think is bad. I recently got it, and maybe it's my DS's hardware because of the bottom screen. You have to constantly flick with the stylus, and my screen on the bottom there's like zones, there's dead zones in some of those spots. So maybe it's my hardware that's giving me faulty opinions on the game, but I don't think that game controls very well. And so if we were to get a cool Nintendo Switch 2 Mario basketball game or a Mario baseball game, that would be awesome. I would love a Mario baseball game on Switch or Switch 2. And we already have some legacy within the GameCube game and the Wii sequel, which is Sluggers, I'm pretty sure. That game's good too. We'll see. That's one of my hopes. We already got golf. Already got tennis. Baseball would be dope. Basketball would be awesome. I mean, they haven't done a hockey game either. Maybe that's in the cards. Who knows, though? That's all I got for the Mario's 40th anniversary. They could do some crazy stuff with, like, I know in the 35th anniversary they showed off Mario 35, which was like a weird online version of the original Super Mario Bros. So maybe they could do a Mario 40 this time and add 40 players instead of 35. I don't know, but we'll see tomorrow. I'm excited. I have a few more things that I could go off of. I know that there's some third-party games that need release dates too. Hades 2 in particular is in early access right now, and the developer Supergiant Games has done an awesome job constantly updating people on where they're at in development, and they're in the thick of stuff right now. So maybe Hades 2 could have a firm release date on Switch 2. I know that it's going to be a console exclusive for a bit. They showed this off at the original Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April. And so give us an update in September. It only makes sense. I know that Elden Ring was also shown off in that original Direct. I know it got a Gamescom. It was playable at Gamescom earlier in August, and people were saying that it was running bad and stuff like that, and I don't doubt it. It's a current gen game. I mean, it did come out on PS4. Did it come out on PS4? I know it came out in 2022. Maybe it came out on PS4. I'm not sure. I doubt that it ran well there, but people are saying that Gamescom build was an old build, so it could potentially run better. Maybe we get a release date on that. Speaking of Front Software, they showed off Duskbloods, and that is a game that we don't know much about other than the first trailer that they showed off, and we know that it's PvPvE. We know that this is Miyazaki's main game that he's working on, and we know that it is Switch 2 exclusive. That right there is what I'm kind of thinking about within all this. But I think that they're going to push out Elden Ring first before talking about Duskbloods. Maybe that's a 2026 title that they're going to try and push. Another third-party game that they've showed off in the original Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that got a lot of good impressions at Gamescom. People were saying that was running very smooth. It might have had some frame hiccups, and it might not have the greatest resolution in handheld mode, but that game is a PS4 game. That game did come out at PS4, so I don't see it running badly on the Switch 2. The Switch 1, I don't think is capable of running that game good, but the Switch 2, I do think, has the potential of running Final Fantasy VII Remake in particular. I don't think Rebirth has any shot of coming to the Switch 2 yet. Maybe if they dumb it down a little bit, we could see it in the next few years, but Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't have a date either, though, so let's get us a date, Nintendo, tomorrow. We also have the promise of a new Call of Duty coming to Nintendo Switch. Oh my god. Call of Duty got me choking. Oh. Call of Duty on the Switch in particular would be crazy. Oh, my bad, bro. Yeah. I know they're working on Black Ops 7. That's a thing. Annual Call of Duties. Yay. Call of Duty doesn't excite me anymore, but seeing that on the Switch 2 could possibly be cool. We'll see, though. We'll see tomorrow. That is another game that was promised by Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft Gaming to be supported on the Nintendo Switch consoles. And so we will probably see that tomorrow. We've been going on for a little bit now. I got some Hail Marys that I want to just throw out there. The potential of a Fire Emblem could be a thing, although I doubt it. We just got engaged like a year or two ago on the Switch 1. And I don't know. That was a game that I think the developers were done with way before releasing. It is said that the development team finished that game 2 years before releasing Engage, so maybe they could be working on something for Switch 2. Who knows? Maybe we'll see something tomorrow. Animal Crossing as well. I know that game sold gangbusters for the original Switch, and so they might prioritize that for the Switch 2. They might tease that. F-Zero I don't see coming, although they've supported F-Zero 99, which was a cool little Switch Online exclusive game. But I have Fast Fusion by Shinin Multimedia, and I think that is the F-Zero of the contemporary gaming landscape right now, and so I don't think F-Zero is needed much. Although that is a sad sentence to say, I'm satiated with the Fast series. I love those games. Shout out Shinin Multimedia. Fast Fusion is great. Mother 3? No. Star Fox? No. No, I'm playing. I don't know actually with Star Fox. It could be something. They could have some crazy control scheme that, shows off the capabilities of the Switch 2. I don't know, man. I'm just spitballing here. Luigi's Mansion 4. Luigi's Mansion 3 sold way more than you think. I know that these games seem niche and that they're really simple, little collect-a-thon games where you vacuum up ghosts and stuff, but Luigi's Mansion 3 sold around 12 million copies, and that is nothing to scoff at. So Luigi's Mansion 4 could definitely be a title that we see within the next year or two. Yoshi, I already talked about Woolly World. Crafted World was on the Switch. I don't think we'll see any Yoshi yet. WarioWare or Wario Land. Wario Land would be dope. Wario Land 5 would be a dope thing to see in the contemporary time of Nintendo because of games like Pizza Tower, and there was this other game that came out on Switch recently that has the Wario Land vibe to it. Anton Blast. Pizza Tower and Anton Blast are screaming a Wario Land remake or, Renaissance period. Those games took what Wario Land started and progressed it further. So if Nintendo looked at Anton Blast or Pizza Tower and progressed what they gave us, maybe Wario Land 5 could be a crazy cool Nintendo Switch 2 game. Who knows, though? Punch Out. Punch me in the head if we see it, because I don't think it's going to happen. We got the NES game. We got Super Punch Out on the Super Nintendo, and then we got the Wii iteration of the game that's motion controls and all that. I think Punch Out's done. I don't know why I wrote it down. I don't know why I'm bringing it up. Let's move on. Zelda. Whoa. That would be cool, huh? Any form of Zelda. I know we got the Switch 2 editions of both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that make those games run flawlessly, buttery silk, buttery smooth, 60 frames per second. That is how you want to play those games. Even if you didn't have the Switch 2 editions of those games, I think they're some of the best that gaming has to offer. So for the Switch 2 to provide the gaming experience like that, I think that satiates the whole year for Zelda. However, I think Nintendo has something to say about Twilight Princess HD in particular. And I say that because it is stranded on the GameCube, Wii, and Wii U. Not stranded. Obviously, it's in plenty of places to play, but it's not on the Switch or the Switch 2. And a little drag and drop HD remake for Switch 2. Nah, I'm just playing. I don't see it anymore. It's never a drag and drop thing either. I know I say that, but those things are harder than, video games aren't easy to make. It's wizardry that they're doing this, and it's insane to like scoff at and complain at things that Nintendo decides to do because you can't do it. So pipe down. Zelda, no, I don't think that's gonna be a thing this year. Maybe next year. Maybe we'll have some crazy 3D Zelda tease of what's to come next year. Mario's time to shine, though. Speaking of Mario, Xenoblade. Nah, it has nothing to do with Mario. For all you gooners out there, Xenoblade Chronicles 4 potential. I know that these games have some type of technical hiccups within the Switch 1, so maybe a Switch 2 edition of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, Torna, 3, that DLC. I know they just came out with Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, so they've been having they've been having a little bit of resurgence within the series, so maybe we'll see a Switch 2 edition of Xenoblade Chronicles. Who's to say? Nintendo is tomorrow. Speaking about Nintendo dogs. I want to pet a dog on my Switch 2. Don't you? Anyways, that's all I got. It's 40 minutes of me talking into the mic. I'm sure it was a riveting display of speculation. I had fun though, and I hope you'll have fun watching this. I'm sorry if I sound a little stuffy. I've been under the weather for a minute now, and I don't see any signs of getting better. Nah, I'm playing. I've been getting better, but I'm still a little stuffy, so bear with me. I appreciate you for sticking around and watching me, spitball on what is to come for the next Nintendo Direct. But with that out of the way, I appreciate you guys for watching. Like I said before, consider engaging with the content. God damn it! Whether that be subscribing, liking, commenting, make fun of me, talk about how poopy I look, talk about how stuffy I sound, make fun of me, or give me a positive little, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Share the video with a nerd that might find this enjoyable. But with all that being said, it's been real. Take care of yourselves. Have yourselves a damn good one. R.I.P. Attica.